Hey guys, I just wanted to do this little video. You'll see a lot of these dApps that I have on my tabs here are ones that I did last night on last night's video, where I kind of did a quick review of these. And I can link that right here. I just wanted to, and this isn't like picking on any of these specific dApps in this, ones that are upcoming or ones that I have launched. Um, this video is basically about the ROI dApp space, where I kind of see things right now, and kind of my viewpoints of the space right now. As you've noticed, I've started doing more and more videos on other DeFi dApps that are not around ROI. That's because I'm not saying that the ROI dApp space is dead, but it's very splintered right now, and I'll kind of get into that soon. I just want to talk about these dApps. I get messages every day from these dApp developers wanting me to do videos. First, I don't think they understand what channel this is. I think they just see somebody's got some subscribers and they want a video. And then I make a video and I'm open and honest the way I see things, and then they come screaming to me saying, hey, I want you to do a different video because you didn't read all the documentation. We're different. You built an ROI dApp. You're not different. You might be promising NFTs or a whitelist for a token drop or airdrops or whatever. But all you're doing is using an ROI dApp to fund your next venture. And if you're asking people, let's grab one of these. If you're asking people to jump into, something like this, a 28-day platinum plan where they're, 99.9% chance of, 99.999% chance of not even getting close to this, you might as well just be asking for donations, because that's what that is. You're using an ROI dApp to leave a lot of people hanging for something that you're building in the future. ROI dApps themselves are just very risky, just themselves, without even a promise of something happening in the future. And when you compound that on top of promising something else in the future, you're asking them to gamble on a dApp to gamble on something else. I mean, you're just compounding the risk at that point. If your NFTs are going to be so amazing, if your airdrop's going to be really cool, or you're going to do a Titano fork and it's going to be awesome, yeah, whatever. I don't know. We've heard it all before. We've seen the Matic stake stuff with tricks. We've seen the Multimatic and their token, and we've seen I don't know, all these different forks that say they're gonna airdrop this or do this LP, and there's still a lot of people just hanging out there, and we're months in to a lot of these. So there are a lot of good intentioned developers, and some of the developers of those past dApps, did deliver something, and it was okay, but it wasn't. I don't think it was worth the investment. You're basically funding these guys to build something later, and if you're dumping them into those 21, 28-day lockups, you're basically just donating to their fund in hopes that you're going to make something later. And if you get into one of these late, you're also just donating to them. That's kind of what these things are doing. They're basically running these ROI dApps as a fundraiser, and those that are left out, have maybe the hopes of getting something later. So that's what's going on. Also, the other part of the ROI dApp space is it's splintered. There's so many ROI dApps. 2 or 3 a day are dying. It seems like 4 or 5 a day are starting, and they're going all over the place. But none of them are really getting a lot of traction anymore, because the more these things go, when it dies, there's a subset of people that don't they lost out. So it's creates, a lot of people exiting, and pretty soon there's gonna be more people exiting than entering the space, and and you can see that it's, it's harder and harder to find a dApp that gets over $1 million USD staked. They all hit 100, a few 100,000 or something like that. And it's just people are getting burnt out. It's harder to make money because people are jumping in faster. It's just a space where I think education is good, and people need to understand what they're getting into. And with that, the competition grows. People can try to blame my channel or whatever, but I don't think education is a bad thing. I don't think anybody should go into these things not knowing the risk and not knowing how they work. So it's just, it's there's so many dApps, and there's so many people that get burned on each one, that it's just both fractured, and then there's also more people leaving the space. I'm not saying I'm not going to do ROI dApps anymore. I'm still going to post some ROI dApps, probably 1 or 2 a week, ones that I actually really believe in. They're actually good opportunities, and of course they're going to be the same. They're going to be based on Ponzi-nomics. They're going to go up, people are going to invest, and then once the rewards start coming out, they're going to fall. But I'm really looking for the ones that get traction, ones that you've got a better chance of getting a return out of. And I'm not saying any of these ones are bad. I mean, you guys can make your own decisions. You can check these things out. I do like seeing stuff like this, the 133%, I might make a little bit of money on that, on an unlocked plan. Something like that I am probably gonna throw a little into, just to try it out and see, if I get my return back, great. If I make a little more, I'll make probably 6 or 7% on that because of that big withdrawal tax. But yeah, I mean, all these guys, they message me. First, they message me to ask me to do a video on their dApp. And I don't know if I think they just see the subscriber count and think, oh, I want to be on his channel. But I don't think they research what kind of reviews I do. I do open, honest reviews. I'm not shilling these things. And then after I make a video and talk about their dApp a little bit and talk about how it's an ROI dApp, it's gonna fail, they come screaming to me saying we're different, we're sustainable, blah blah blah. They have an insurance pool, or they have these different high taxes or whatever, or they don't go as high of rates, or blah blah blah. The rates have to be pretty darn low to be sustainable, and giving away 20-30% every 7 days is not going to be sustainable for the long term, especially not 2.5 times your money every 14 days. It's going to crash and burn, no matter how much you tax on forced withdrawals or how much you put into an insurance plan somewhere. These things don't create value. People put in funds, and those funds sit in a pool, and people withdraw their rewards, and at the end, those that were first in get the rewards out, and then the balance goes to zero. You can take out a subset of that or tax whatever it is. You might as well just put that tax in the balance, because you can stick it in an insurance fund, but you're just going to move it back into the balance when it falls. So we've seen all this stuff before, guys. All these dApp developers think that people on this channel, this is their first rodeo. This is not. We've seen dozens and dozens of these things that have come and have gone. They've promised NFTs, they promised airdrops, they promised LPs, they promised all this stuff. They've had this, beautiful white papers and documentation and all these plans and whatever. and I'm sure some are very good and very well intentioned. They want to really build something in the long term, but just understand when you're jumping into these based on the premise of something happening later, you're basically donating to their fund. You're donating to a development fund. There's no guarantee you're going to get that back. When you dump into one of these ROI dApps, you're gambling on the ROI dApp to gamble on something else. It just compounds the risk. I'm not saying this is bad. I mean, this is the way that these guys can fundraise, because they get a chunk of every deposit, and they can use that for development. They can use that for liquidity. They can do a lot with those funds. But you're just basically donating to them at that point. So just be careful with that, guys. I mean, I know I'm getting messages from these developers saying, yeah, but we're different. You don't understand. You didn't read this paper. You didn't read this or that. Guys, the code behind this thing is exactly the same. I mean, we can see these, the same style as even on these boxes even. They're just copying these sites and using the money to fundraise something else. And I'm not saying that's bad. But what I'm saying is, are you selling an ROI dApp, or are you selling an NFT or a Titano fork or something else? Because I'm fine with just waiting until the fork is ready and getting in a little bit late, and maybe making a little bit on your NFT scheme or your Titano fork. I'm fine with that. I'm not willing to jump into one of these and lose everything into like a 21 or 28 day lock to be first in line for your airdrop or whatever. That's not a risk I'm willing to take. And just beware, that's what they're asking you to do. They're asking you to fund their stuff, and you might be willing to take that risk. You might believe in the project. But when I'm reviewing these ROI dApps, I'm reviewing these dApps. I'm not reviewing what they might build later, because I don't know what it's going to look like. And you can, I've dealt with lots of salesmen in the past, how everything's going to be wonderful and great, and we're all going to be millionaires. But I'm reviewing what they built here. Is it sustainable? Can you make any money on it? Those kinds of things. So, if you're a dApp developer and you're watching this and you're, fuming because I'm not, giving you glowing reviews of your dApp that you copy and pasted from a different dApp to fundraise your thing, don't get mad at me. That's just what's happening. And I'm going to be open and honest with my subscribers. This is not a channel where I put up big flashy thumbnails with make 1,000% and blah blah blah. This channel is more about what are the risks involved, what could happen in the future with your investment, and just educate people and warn people about different things that could happen in DeFi. So yeah. Anyway, guys, I'm not totally doing away with ROI dApps. I will be doing fewer of them and doing more and more nodes, Titano forks. Loving Baked Beans is still going gangbusters. Went over 5,000 earlier today. B&B. Things like that really create value. I do still love a good ROI dApp. Yeah, and I'm not shying away from those. Anyway, guys, that's kind of the way I see these right now. Oh, I wanted to talk about one thing. Staker Cafe. I don't know why these guys do this stuff. It just, just another way to create distrust in the ROI dApps. When you're in here and you click withdraw, it does nothing anymore. Even though their contract still has a balance. So if you go on that front end and it shows you have, your plan ends, or you have something to withdraw and you want to withdraw, they broke this, and I hate that they do that stuff. But don't panic, because you can always go to the contract, click on contract, click on write contract. You're going to click this to connect to Web3 with your wallet. It'll give you some warnings, connect to MetaMask or whatever, give you a warning. You connect, this little thing will turn green, and you come down and hit right on the withdraw. And that will do exactly what this withdraw button does. Or did, I should say. So that's just something to be aware of if you're in that project. So yeah, guys, that's kind of the way I view ROI dApps right now. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm saying they're very fractured, and a lot of people have been, I don't want to say burned, but they got in late and lost a lot. And that's what's going to happen with these. That's the way these things work. Anyway, yeah, that's kind of my view on these things right now. I still think there's some money to be made in them, and I'll post them, but I'm not really shifting focus, but I want to make this more of a diversified channel of different DeFi investment strategies and avenues. Anyway, guys, like the video if you like it. Subscribe if you want to subscribe. Yeah, leave any comments below. I might get some hate mail from some of these dApp developers, but I'm fine with that. Anyway, guys, we'll catch you on the next one.